Hey everyone, thought I'd create a video on the build to rent model and wanted to go through some of the numbers and how I underwrite my projects. I'm a small investor and I'm building really one rental at a time usually, and how I start underwriting a build to rent model based off of these numbers. And I thought I'd go through the numbers and begin that process so that you can learn how maybe this is a model for you and why this is a good model for people that have the ability to do this. But it starts with the number one, and that is 1%. I'm looking at the rents and I'm looking, can I build at 1% or better, 1% plus? So just as a quick example, if it were to get $2,200 in rent for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath property, can I build it for less than that? It should cash flow. So I look first at the rents. Looking at that, after I look at rents, the other things that I'm looking at is the market. How is that market doing? I look at properties, and here in Texas, I'm looking at the city and the county. And how is that county doing? I'm looking at counties that are in the top 20% of the counties in growth in the state of Texas. I'm looking, is there people moving to the area? DFW area is one of the top 4 largest metropolitan areas in the United States, and is also one of, if not the fastest growing area in the country. It's currently ranked number 4, and they said it should surpass the Chicago area here very soon to become the number 3 largest area. But I'm looking at the county and I'm looking at that city because I'm building my properties outside of Dallas-Fort Worth proper, Tarrant, Dallas counties, and I'm looking at the surrounding counties is where I'm finding the opportunities. And I'm looking at those counties, and they are in the top 20 fastest growing counties. But I'm looking at first at rents. Then I'm also looking at what is the median price home, and I want to build homes that are 20% under the median price, so that if I needed to sell it, I could easily move that property based off the median price. For example, if the median price in that area was around $350,000, I need to be able to build and have a property worth less than 20% of that on the initial build. So I'm looking at properties that would be somewhere in that $280,000 range or less on the final price to be under the median price. So if I needed to sell it, it's got a bigger market. The next step is I'm looking at the lot. And the metrics that I use are, I'm saying it should be around between 15 and 20. Sorry, let me get the correct one. $15,000 to $20,000 a lot per door. If I were building multifamily, and I've built multifamily, I do not want to pay more than $15,000 to $20,000 per door for the lot price. Speaking on just a single family home, I'm wanting to look for properties in that $15,000 to $20,000 is my ideal cost, and that represents, depending on the build, 7 to 9% of your build cost. The closer, of course, to 7, the better. The better you are. I'm trying to stay within that range. So for you across the country, you're looking at those metrics. My land cost typically was between 7 and 9% of the actual build costs, and really closer to the 7s where I'm trying to land. Those are the numbers. What I know is I also know my build costs. I've been doing several. And if maybe you're looking at doing that, you're getting with a builder. And what my typical build cost run between $111,000 $113 a square foot. Pardon my left-handedness. Also, it's Christmas still, wearing my Christmas beach shirt, Hawaiian shirt, but I'm looking at $111 to $113 a square foot has been my build cost. That works, and I'm figuring on that. The next number is my 125 to 127. That is my final cost all in when I'm finished with the build. This includes all costs, including closing costs on the construction loan, the interest carry for the build, and including the closing costs to a 30-year mortgage. I'm saying all in cost, I can hit 125 to 127, and maybe you can too. But these are the numbers that I'm doing. It gives you context of seeing, can you build similar? I have a general contractor that handles the builds, and we're able to build them between 125 and 127. When I'm looking at those, going back here, when I'm looking at the lots, one thing I forgot to share is that I'm looking for lots that are predominantly level, not perfect, but many of the times I'm buying lots that don't need any retaining walls, or if they do, it's a small retaining wall to make it level. You want to look for those so that your build lot prep cost are optimal levels. If it's got quite a bit of slope to it and unlevel, you're going to be spending lots of money on building the pad, building the dirt, and adding retaining wall costs. For here in Texas, anything above 3 feet, you're starting to look at engineered retaining walls, which adds to the cost. So I'm looking for lots in that 15 to 20,000 that need very minimal lot prep work other than building the pad for the foundation. The next number, 20 and 5. These are important numbers. The profit is made on the purchase. Those of us, even on a resale market, you make your money on the buy or on the build. The profit is made up front. Any appreciation after that is just gravy. And these are important numbers. So the number here is I've been able to build these at 20% equity from the very beginning. So examples, building one at $205,000 all-in cost, it is appraising at $262,000. The profit is made up front with built-in forced equity from the beginning, almost like buying them wholesale. If you were able to buy all your properties wholesale of great deals, you're getting that forced equity. I'm doing the forced equity on a build, but getting a brand new property. And because I'm getting that initial 20% equity on the appraisal, I'm only having to put 5% down. I have that option. I can only put 5% down so that the 30-year mortgage at 75% loan to value is where the optimal interest rate is. I'm only having to put 5% of my own money all in, including all costs, including closing costs on the 30-year, 5% total. This is getting that great forced equity. The next thing is 0 to 8. And that's important after you have the property finished. That's 0 to 8 years. As I am getting the rents, and what we should be doing is holding back money in reserves for vacancy, repairs, and capital expenditures. In the first year, because my builder is building it for me, I get a 1-year warranty on all the build, so I have no repairs. I start escrowing and holding back that reserve. I start at 7%, and with every year I add 1%. And what I have found over the years, repairs don't begin to start really accumulating till year 8. And so by the time I'm at year 8, I'm fully escrowing 15%. If I say escrow, fully putting in reserves 15% of my rental money. But I've had time to build up that reserve from year 0, once we get it finished and rent it out, all the way to year 8, where bigger capital expenditures are happening, is when they start around year 8. So 0 to 8 years, that's one of the things that I love about building brand new. The other thing that I like with this is I'm thinking long term. I'm here in my early 50s, that down the road when I am gone, 25, 30 years, whatever that is, I'm passing on much newer properties to my heirs. If I were to buy properties built in the 70s, 80s, even 90s, they're going to be 50, 60, 70 years old and might need to be sold because there's got to be heavy repairs unless you do big major remodels. I'll be passing mine along when they're 25, 30 years old that need a lot less repairs so that they can keep those properties that much easier. The next number, and this is for all of us in Texas, I'm looking for properties. Property tax is very expensive here in Texas. So what I'm looking for is properties outside of the city limits. If I can find a subdivision that's just outside city limits, I can make that much more profit in the purchase. And so I found properties just recently, and what I'm doing in my builds now is subdivision just outside of city limits, and the tax on that in that area is 1.1%, which helps the cash flow. So I'm looking for those things of low property tax. Maybe in your state you have lower property tax, but here in Texas, it's a big number. If you're in the city limits, you're looking somewhere in that 2.2 to 2.5% of the values. So that getting it just outside of city limits and getting just county taxes and school taxes comes out to 1.1% in the area that I've been finding properties. And then the final number here, which is the way we underwrite it, because I'm only putting 5% down, I've been able to get 20+% cash on cash return. This maximizes as you're in the growth phase. If you're only putting 5% down, your return, your cash on cash return, as you continue to build out your portfolio, you're only having to put 5% of your money in. How many more properties can you build with less money down? The other option, where I'm going now in my 50s, is I'm going to trade a little bit of that equity for cash flow. I'm going to put a little bit more down, between 10 and 15% down, but I will start out at a bigger profit. My cash on cash return, even with 15% down, is going to be somewhere in that 11.4%. Still an excellent cash on cash return, but a higher average cash flow per door. But I thought I would just share some of these numbers that I have here of how I underwrite the build to rent model as a small investor. Maybe this will help you and how you're looking at it. If you can get the 1% plus, and most of mine are around 1.1 to 1.3% of rents of what I can build it for, and find the lots in that 15 to 20,000 per door. These are the numbers that it comes out to in my projects of what I'm building, and I hope this gives you some context if maybe you're looking to do the build to rent model of how you would underwrite the project. Another key important point is to find a good contractor that you can trust, that maybe he's doing a cost plus or gives you a fixed rate where the numbers work, but you reverse engineer that and you can make lots of profit and lots of net worth growth doing the build to rent model because you get that forced equity. Till next time, talk to you later.